Ontario continues to reopen its economy as well, and the province is reporting as it does that yet another spike in cases. Yesterday, the highest number of new cases since May the 8th. So as that case count continues to be trending upward, daily testing is still well below provincial targets. So much so, the Premier is asking people to be tested even if they don't have symptoms. And as Michael Serapio joins us with that story, that, Michael, is a big change in messaging.
A huge change in messaging just ahead of a new strategy that we're going to hear from the province in the coming days, Heather. But you're right, a very big change in messaging. Also, the clearest message yet that we've heard from the Ontario Premier regarding testing, telling people in Ontario to get out there, get the test, because as you say, the numbers have been disappointing. On Saturday, just 11,000 people got tested. That's well short of the 16,000 the province set for itself as a goal, well short of the province's capacity for about 20,000 tests a day. Also, the 7th day in a row for disappointing testing numbers. Not to mention the worrying new cases of COVID-19 that you were mentioning. Ontario announcing another 460 confirmed cases Sunday morning, a 1.8% increase over the previous day, and an additional 25 deaths. So in an effort to turn those trends around, the Premier is making this announcement that testing is now open to everyone. Take a listen to what he said.
No matter if you're showing symptoms or you aren't showing symptoms, and bring your family along with you to get tested. If you feel you need a test, you'll be able to get a test. So please don't wait. Our assessment centers are ready to receive you. And that will escalate further. We can open up the economy if we see the numbers go down.
And to that last point, Ontario, as you say, has begun to reopen, but still far from fully reopening. Experts have time and again said the only way the province can get back up and running ahead of a vaccine is with wide-scale testing, and until now that's been limited to people with symptoms. But with this change in messaging and policy, the hope is trending numbers will improve because testing will lead to contact tracing. And in this week, we are expecting to hear more on the testing strategy as the province is expected to expand testing to workers who may not be in healthcare but are still on the front lines. We're talking about taxi drivers, delivery people, and food supply workers, Heather. And again, the big change here, the big message underlining for Ontario, with or without symptoms, you are entitled to a test.
There has been quite a bit of criticism of Ontario's inability to hit those testing targets, Michael. So what has the reaction been to the Premier's new messaging and call to be tested?
Well, I have to say enthusiasm. And part of that is because even Ontario's Chief Public Health Officer was openly musing last week. Was he being clear enough about the change in policy? Should his messaging be clearer? And we have to say some people did go to social media and say that Dr. Williams has not been clear enough. But now the Premier is sending out this very clear message about the ability for people to be tested in Ontario. So to that, take a listen to Dr. Isaac Bogosh, of course, a frequent guest on our program, but also infectious disease expert with Toronto General Hospital.
Politics aside, let's just talk about health and medicine. This is the perfect message to parlay. I hope they reiterate this day in and day out throughout the province. We know what the issues were in Ontario, and those issues persist. This is a great way out of this situation. It basically eliminates almost all the barriers to getting a diagnostic test.
And to add to that, Heather, Dr. Bogosh says he hopes finally the ambiguity around testing is finally over in Ontario. So look to those numbers, hopefully, to actually go up.
And to that strategy this week, Michael, thank you very much.